It was great being in Vegas with you last week.
It was. We had a good time, and we don't really have any stories to tell.
No.
Usually for when we have a trip, something ridiculous will happen.
That's right. Like that time you walked out with someone else's suitcase, and we were just walking around, and it took us, 3 hours to figure out it was someone else's bag.
I literally stole someone's suitcase for probably 2 hours.
Thinking it was mine, then you were doing me a favor.
I was like, and I was thinking the whole time, Sten, you have an ugly suitcase. And then we're getting to your truck, and you drove me around I load the suitcase in the truck. We drive around to get my car, and you take the suitcase out and you set it there. And I'm like, why is he taking his suitcase out of the truck?
Like, dude, that's not my bag.
Did you say that? I go, dude, that's not my bag. And he's like, well, whose bag is it? I was like, that's not your bag. So yeah, we stole someone's.
Or the time we almost adopted that kid in DC. We were eating ice cream, and this random kid wandered up.
Do you think she was like 7, 8?
Maybe, but there was no parent in sight, and she was just watching us eat ice cream.
She was like literally doing circles around us.
And then she just said, I wish I had some ice cream.
She was circling us like prey. And then she got within like 5 feet, and she just goes, I wish I had some ice cream.
Yeah, it was
great.
That was a wild moment. Anyways, there's always good stories from our speaking events.
But not in Vegas, which is interesting. You would think in Vegas we'd have a good story, but
no, I'm proud of us.
Yeah, I'm actually proud of us. Yes, we didn't have it. So what are you talking about today?
And part of this was sparked in Vegas, which is great, is the difference between achievement and success, or your potential, really. And I think a lot of times we go speak at events, or, at times we'll be invited to speak to like a select group of advisors. Like these are kind of higher level. They're having, different conversations. They're trying to solve higher quality problems than maybe the average advisor maybe isn't, but or the advisor that's really just kind of more trying to get their feet under them and get like
I would say that's the majority of the people we talk to at EAN are people who have established themselves in the business. They're not going anywhere. They've survived, and they're like, okay, now I can take it to the next level. And sometimes companies will say, hey, we're gathering some of those next level people.
That's right.
Which happens in this industry. Will you come talk to them? And so that was that was the event.
Yep. It was a great event. And part of it, the way we opened that was your achievement, while it deserves to be celebrated, got you in this room, but now we're about to change all the rules.
Right.
That at times what got you where you are now, the indicator that you're still progressing is that you're stopping doing those same things versus, wow, this has worked out great. Let's just keep doing more of the same stuff, and my success must keep going up. And that's rarely the case.
Right. And we'll break down some of those things. And there was, I think, a helpful analogy or story that, and actually this is fascinating because a lot of people have sort of seen it happen, is that when you reach a certain level of success, you have to start to play a different kind of game. Like, congratulations, now it's going to get a lot harder.
Yep.
And not harder as in impossible or insurmountable. It's just, you just have to play at a different level.
Yep.
And an example of that was Ryan Reynolds, and I forget the other guy's name. It's a friend of his. They bought part of an English soccer club. And I did not know this until actually like a few months ago, because I was kind of following this story about Ryan Reynolds buying this soccer club, is that if you're good enough, you get promoted. And if you're not, you get relegated, basically taken down. There's like these different levels. So the AAA Nashville baseball team is always AAA. Like, if they do great, they're still AAA.
Yeah.
Right. But in soccer, you can get promoted. And so our conversation, and a lot of the advisors really resonated with this, was like, congratulations, you're getting a promotion. But now you're sort of at the bottom again. And that should excite you, because you have bigger rewards, bigger possibilities. And so, again, if you're listening to this or watching us and you feel like I've achieved a lot of what I wanted to achieve, but you also believe about yourself as you listen or watch us, like, but Sten, Andy, like, I know I haven't reached my potential. Achievement and potential are different.
Yep.
Right. And so if you're listening to this, you're the kind of person that says, I haven't reached my potential. And instead of that being a discouraging thing, it's sort of, we want it to be a motivating thing. But we do want to talk today about what keeps people from reaching their potential. And some of these might be true of you. Some of them you might have overcome, but they're really, really practical. And Sten, you do a really good job of making people super uncomfortable in a really helpful way.
I'm thinking of a couple of times I made like longer than I should have eye contact at this last event while I said something.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Because I was like, bro, stop looking at that guy. Stop. A guy is, but it is. And I love this saying. I don't know that I made it. I just hadn't heard it before I said it, but I'm sure someone else said it before me. But your best friends tell you the most truth. Truth with a capital T. If you really care about me, Stan, and I know you do, you'll tell me the truth. Like, Andy, you need to hear this because it's the truth. And that's what it really felt like when we were talking to these advisors. And this is what we want to do for you today, is give you a taste of some of that truth. Because again, congratulations, you're still in the business, you're doing well, but there's more out there for you. And one of the reasons that successful advisors will say are not reaching their full potential is because, and it could be specific to their company or just as an industry wide, but you're pretty bold about this, that they believe the industry's definition of success. And there's a couple of things that go into that. Can you break it down?
I believe that the industry doesn't really have a clear path. I think for me and everybody I've known that's gotten into this business before, you get in thinking like, I'm helping with money, but I don't really know what that looks like as a job. And then you realize like, oh, I need to sell stuff. And I don't know how to sell stuff. So all of my development, 90% of it is going to be learning how to sell things better. And then I'm going to start becoming more knowledgeable as I go.
About the stuff
I'm selling. And so it's maybe trial and error to some degree. I look back at young Sten and I was like, most of those people, I laughed because I was like, probably, I can't say all, but most of those people are better off, even with the thing I gave them. Sure. Even though I was new in the business, than them not doing anything at all.
If you're selling the right stuff, generally, like,
it's whether it's this insurance policy or that one or these mutual funds, like if the alternative is those people are doing nothing, then you are still helping them. If you're a young advisor, like, keep going. I would encourage you not to have maybe that 90-10 sales to knowledge growing split. Like try to, get your CFP, go to seminars, webinars, like build your superpower of knowledge along with your superpower of selling. And then you just kind of keep doing it. And then as problems arise, you kind of solve those. At some point, maybe you're like, man, I'm really overwhelmed. I need an assistant. And it's very kind of reactionary. That's been my experience and a lot of other advisors, that I was not sat down and said, hey, Sten, for the first 2 years, here's what you're going to do. And in our earliest episodes, if you're listening, you can go back and listen to what we call the 5 stages of an advisor career path.
Literally the earliest, I think it's episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or something like that.
And we break down what we say is like, when you're a rookie, it's like you're solving rookie level problems. And you're doing a great job, but the goal is to not stay rookie very long, maybe a year or two. And then you're going to move through these different stages where every stage you're trying to solve higher quality problems. And so for me, there was no path. And the success was really, who did I end up around? Because the industry didn't really promote and say, hey, Sten, you're at this firm, but hey, look at those advisors at that firm, how they're all way more successful than we are. You should try to get there someday.
It is phenomenal to think that your success and your vision of success and you reaching your potential could primarily be dependent upon the physical location
where you happen to end up,
or that individual company in their measurement of success.
For me, which happened to be the company that happened to show up at my college and offer me $100 a week to show up to a meeting. Great training, could have been worse, but it wasn't up to me. I didn't take control over that. And we talk to a lot of advisors all the time that are like, I feel kind of frustrated and stuck. I don't feel like I'm being challenged. And then we just get back from Vegas with this firm that they have a bunch of great advisors. The leadership is creating a learning path. But all of that is really just subject to like, did you luck out? Did you end up at the right place at the right time with the right leadership? And for us, as we coach advisors, and that's one of the reasons EAN exists, is like, it may not have to be with the firm you're with, but you could still be there and do great. I would tell every advisor I talk to, you have everything where you are today to build the business you want. Moving's not always the answer. It's not always somebody else's fault. Like, you have everything you need, but you probably do need to seek some outside perspective. In our community, our content, that's what we're trying to fill, is this void that I couldn't fill when I was an advisor of, man, where are the studs? Where can I go to get uncomfortable? Like, why do I have to learn all these mistakes the hard way by myself when people have already gone before me?
And why does that have to take so long? I mean, that's another part of it is, I mean, I don't know if you could think of something off the cuff, but like, there's situations I know that I've been in. I can think of one specific, but like, I'm standing there going, I am going to intervene. This is taking way too long. Like, this is taking 7 times as long as it should, And so you jump in there and whatever it is. I mean, an example was I was at a cookout once and there's food in the middle of the table and there's plates at one end of the table and everyone's walking on one side of the table.
Nice.
And I was like,
just couldn't stand it.
You could walk on both sides of the table. And I'm not great at math, but I think it'll go twice as fast.
Nice. Right. My claim to fame, I redirected an entire carnival ride line that was like cutting right through the middle of the a whole row of rides to where people were like running into it, and I redirected it to a different, and it was great. But everybody had accepted it.
Yes, everyone was like,
we're committing to the person in front of us made the best choice.
It's just one bad decision after another, right? And it's funny when it's a call ride or when it's a cookout line, but like when it's your career, you're like, oh crap,
that's right,
I'm falling wrong. So the industry's version of success is generally that, and there are some companies that are not doing this, but many companies are just afraid of outside voices, right? They're afraid of independent voices. They're and like the company we were at and other ones that call us and interact with us on, we'll bring 25 advisors to Nashville to get trained, which is going to happen next week. Like that's awesome. But the industry's the first thing is what keeps successful advisors from achieving their full potential is that they believe the industry's version and maybe your company's version of success as gospel truth. That's success.
And I'm not going to go conspiracy theory level on us here, but the fact the system is still working the way it is means at some level, somebody's okay with it because they're making enough money.
Yeah.
At some level, these big companies, they're profitable enough not to get down to the advisor day-to-day level, but that's where we hang out. Like I'm an advisor, like I'm concerned of what your day-to-day life looks like. What does your business look like? And because it's working just well enough for a lot of people that are disconnected enough from what does it look like to be an advisor on a day-to-day basis and have a family and want to have balance, yet want to have a great income and want to have a great team. Like those are the problems at that level that we're looking to solve and help advisors with. Hey, don't give away your time and ideas for free. There's a way to run a healthier business. But the industry at large is less aggressive. It's more of if we can retain people and they can do just enough to survive, then we're winning. And here we're saying we reject that.
Absolutely. The next one, I don't know that this is as large of a problem, but it is still a problem, is you'll find people, and we experience some people like this, is the reason they don't reach their potential is they feel like, oh, I've achieved all that I'm going to achieve. And that's rooted in, and you talked about this, is when you've achieved more than you imagined you could achieve, there's a measure of human nature where it just goes, I'm good.
I did it.
Right?
Yeah.
And that just can come from, tell the story about the 100,000.
Yeah, as far as where you just happen to be around, I grew up small town in Oregon. People in my family didn't own successful businesses. And I wish, because I referenced this story enough that I could remember like where I was sitting, I might have been in like a truck at a job site sitting there and somebody, I must have been, 10, 12, somewhere in there, said like $100,000. And at that point in my life, that was the biggest number I've ever heard when it comes to like, oh wait, people make $100,000. My context was like, it's $2 to rent a movie. Yeah. A pizza costs $6. Oh wait, $100,000. And so my little mind grabbed onto that and just set that as this like someday.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Until I was able to disrupt that. But the only reason I got disrupted is because I proactively went out and like was willing to receive feedback to make me question, like, is that number really successful? Is that number really going to accomplish things I want to accomplish? But I could have just held tight to that and hit it and then been like, well, Sten, you're in your 20s and you're doing great. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
And our human nature will want us to do.
Yeah. There's a reality of people, if I can pull it way down, like there's a reality of someone that will leave a $17 an hour job for an $18 an hour job. Mm-hmm. And you might be listening going, that's crazy. But like, what we're saying is there's a limitation that is built into a lot of us as humans that we sort of pick a number arbitrarily and then we just sort of stop and go, that's in this business, praise God, like that number is just a number and it can be a bigger number. And it does, again, not at the cost of your life and your health and your, all that stuff, but believing you've already reached it is a reason some people just stop. They just go, I'm comfortable. That's enough. Right.
And one more point there is because now we've interacted with thousands of advisors and I've yet to coach an advisor, speak in front of a group of advisors where somebody would be like, Sten, no, truly, I'm done. Like there's no way you can show me that I can be more efficient, that I can impact just as many people while working less, therefore being more with my family, which really, if you talk to me for 10 minutes is really what's most important to me. I've yet to meet the advisor. Please call us if you want to challenge me on this, that will say, today I've reached my full potential, not only in income, but as far as work-life balance, the way my business is structured. Whenever we probe in that, when somebody does kind of say, hey, I'm good, I make enough money.
Yeah.
There's usually something in there where they're like, I'm just scared to do that thing.
Yeah.
We've had advisors that are 30 years in the business that are, have one assistant and they still book their own meetings, or they still work 6 days a week. And okay, well, and we figure out with not very long a conversation that 20 of those hours are just hanging out.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, why are you at the office if you're not being productive? What can you do with that time? Like, there's enough there to churn up if you're willing to. And the goal is not to do that every day. Like, break it, build it every day. But are you consistently welcome feedback to say, like, if you can do something faster and more efficient? I believe every advisor wants to help more people make more money and work less or more efficiently. If we can all agree that's our goal, which we've never had an advisor say, no, Sten and Andy, I don't want that, then there is a better path than you're on, most likely.
Right. Another reason that successful advisors don't reach their potential is they believe that, and I think the industry is at fault for saying this, is, well, you just have to do more of what got you here and sort of optimize or just go faster.
Yep.
Right. Go faster, work with more people like that. Mm-hmm. We did an exercise, which I won't get into. You have to experience at one of our trainings, but we asked people sort of how to grow their business. And sort of one of the pervasive answers was, oh, just do more of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could, but at some point, you can't turn it to something that goes to 10. You can't turn it to 12. Like 10 is as high as it goes.
That's right.
It will actually break if you turn it up higher.
Yeah.
Right. You have to do different things.
In the language we use, we call that doing the average thing harder and longer and hoping you get elite results, and it'll never work. And that is an industry thing, whether it's calls, make more calls, and the idea of, you've used this reference before, is if you want to have a higher batting average, like, you don't take more at bats, like, just get more hits. And so when it comes to prospecting, it's like, why would we do something average, harder and longer? Why would we be okay with the 10 to 15 year path of success in this business if I showed you the 3?
Yeah.
Is the 3 going to be harder, more intentional, a little more scary? Yeah, but if it's possible, and there's a bunch of people before you that went there, and all these people at times they didn't think they could do it either.
Right.
Until they kind of just, put their toe in the water of like, okay, what does that look like? Okay, I got to hire somebody. How do I do that? Because your future self, I guarantee you, if you're doing the average thing right now and in your gut that, like, Sten, I'm doing the same things I was doing 3 years ago, I'm just growing still. Well, that's an indicator. If you haven't changed your business, and we were at this conference, we told them, hey, everybody here should break your business and rebuild it. And I felt from the 2 leaders in the room where they're just like, don't do it. And we're not telling you like fire all your clients, but like, be willing periodically to say, okay, if I'm doing the same thing I was doing 2 years ago in the exact same fashion, whether it's client experience, whether it's prospecting, whether it's just the tasks as the leader I'm doing each day, that's actually not a good sign. Like, that's a sign you should change something, not a sign of like, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Next one is trying to optimize your way to success that can keep you from really reaching your potential. This is a little like I'm going to do, the same thing, just harder and longer. Mm-hmm. But what this really ties into is trying to optimize yourself instead of hiring. Right. And we see this like, oh, no, the only thing I should be doing is like, I'm going to go hire somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the idea of optimizing yourself versus the potential of hiring someone, that the people that we know that have reached their potential have figured out how to hire and train and delegate and then do less better.
Yeah. And a lot of times that means they delegate the hiring and the training too. Okay. Because that's advisors get scared of like, I'm not good at hiring. Okay. Well, Who Not How that? Like, that's a great book. If you haven't read it, Who Not How. And I'm in a season now where I'm trying not to overdo it, meaning like the solution's also not always to hire. You can just go hire crazy. It's hire the right people at the right time, help them focus on the very specific task. If you have like 3 generalists and they're all overlapping, like, that's a problem too. But hands down, I've never met an advisor that I look at their business, their life, their income, and I'm like, wow, that's inspirational. I want to mirror something in their business. I want my business to look like theirs someday. And it was just them and an assistant or a pair planner. The commonality is they figure out people focused on something very specific each day and making that their superpower. The outcome is dramatically different.
Absolutely.
So you may be listening saying, I don't believe you. Well, trust me, it's true. Or I believe you, I just don't know how to do it. Well, great. We have job descriptions. We have other advisors that are training, learning this. To be great at anything, you have to be a beginner to start. And so these are the things we teach on that within your sphere, it is your world. Your family, your business, it is everything to you. And it feels big, it feels scary, but you're not solving problems that have never been solved before. You have to be a community. You have to immerse yourself in there because one piece of information from somebody else or a push or some accountability could accelerate something that it would take you 5 years on your own to do
100%.
and you could do in 6 months.
Yeah. Because you didn't know, right? Because you didn't hire that person who, oh my gosh, that's their superpower. What a massive breakthrough, you know, and it can be very small things. It can be very big things, but you know, it is fascinating to see how the multiplication effect of having someone else free up your time so you can do what you're truly great at. I mean, they're just simply things that it's almost malpractice for you to be doing as an advisor.
Yeah. If all your clients knew you were spending your time doing that, they would probably scratch their head a little bit. If it was paperwork, scheduling, that you should be getting rid of that stuff as quick as you can.
Yeah. The last one is that one of the last reasons that people don't reach their potential is they're simply just not surrounding themselves with the right people. I'm going to just pause real quick and say this for those who are listening and watching, like you're doing a great job right now by surrounding yourself with, I think about the advisors that we had 3 or 4 episodes ago that shared about their business. Others, like, if you're listening to this show, you are taking in wisdom from an advisor that is in the trenches, that is doing this day in and day out, that leads a team, that hires, that manages family and life and all those things. And for those who are part of our community, for those of you who are listening who have submitted yourself to, I need to surround myself with people on a really intentional level. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. You have the thing we can't give you, which is that spark or that curiosity or that willingness. Then you have to, discover, we call it the 3 stages of growth. So growth awareness. Are people even doing this thing? There's advisors making that much money with that much balance in their life. Like, okay, I know it's possible. Understanding, I'm going to go wherever I need to go in order to figure out how those people do it. And then belief is one where people get hung up, where they need coaching and almost borrowed confidence at time for us to tell some of our advisors, like, it's possible for you to. Right now, it doesn't feel like it. It feels scary because you've never done it. But if you do these things, and one really practical, we tell advisors all the time, if you don't have a private coach or you're not part of some community consistently, stop. And money's the issue. Stop funding your retirement accounts. As an advisor to an advisor, pretend I'm your financial planner. Stop funding retirement accounts and invest in yourself. It'll be the best investment you ever made in your life. Yeah. But sometimes we need permission to do those things, even though in our gut we're open to it, but we just need permission.
And the last thing I'll say as we close is when I say surround yourself with the right people, that can mean not just other advisors, but it also means that, it's fascinating that we now have so much access thanks to the internet and video, and is you can get the best coaches at something just by sitting in your office. Like, surrounding yourself with the right people is not just peers. It's people you're willing to submit yourself to and say, okay, you've analyzed hundreds of advisors' businesses. What should I do next? Yep. Right. And that's about submitting yourself to the right people. We've seen the difference, the right coach, and pick your sport or pick your whatever, but what the right coach and the right, like any player that plays for them, like they're a better player. That's right. So surround yourself with people and then submit yourself to them and then take action. And if you're listening to this, you're that kind of person. And again, if you're interested in EAN, then, there'll be a link in the show notes how to get a hold of us in that area. So I want to have you with the last word about folks who are feeling this tension between, yes, I've reached a level of success. I want to reach my potential. What's the next thing they should be doing?
That's all of us to some degree.
True.
That even people we meet with, that I would fall susceptible at times being like, hey man, like I'm the one writing some stuff and people are hearing me speak, like maybe I've kind of unlocked most of it. Like, can I cruise? And I'm thankful in my journey that I created this internal process that I'm just really curious. Like I'm aware of, hey, there's probably a better way to do this. As a business owner though, you need a season where you're just growing too. And so if you're like, Sten, all the stuff you're saying is great, but I just need to grow for a while, we're right there with you. That's awesome. But if you are on an island, not getting input, if you find yourself doing the same thing every day and you're tracking your results, because a lot of us don't, but you have a scorecard and you're looking at your scorecard and it's not really moving, those are all indications that you're stuck. And all of us are to some degree. And I would say, ask for an intervention, like seek input And for us, one reason we built, call us. Like, we will help you. We will shock the system a little bit, whether that means you hang out with us more often, come to events, but like at least call Andy and Jared and have somebody speak some perspective in there. We're not going to know everything about your business, but be open-handed to say, I'm going to put this out there, pick it apart, give me some feedback, because hands down, you'll leave with perspective and probably some next steps that you weren't clear on.
Right.
That you may be stuck. Any part you feel stuck or your growth is stalled, your personal development is stalled, like now is the time to be open enough and humble enough to give somebody permission to speak into it.
Absolutely. So go to stenmorgan.com/EAN. That's the best place to go to learn about our community or set a time to meet with myself or Jared or our other coach for the community. And we would love to help you reach your potential.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks. Hey, friend, this is Andy with one final note. If you have not attended one of our live online trainings, then you can go sign up for our next one at stenmorgan.com/webinar. That's stenmorgan.com/webinar. And you can see when our next live trainings are. Those are free. So check them out. Thanks again for listening. God bless. Keep up the good work.